Picture this. You wake up at 4 a.m. in medieval Japan. One mistake today could cost you your life. A slip in training could take your fingers. A single wrong word could take your head. And if you bring dishonor to your family, you may be ordered to take your own life under the eyes of your peers. This was the reality of samurai life in medieval Japan. Not the Hollywood version of noble warriors and poetic deaths, but the brutal truth of an existence where honor wasn't a philosophy. It was a daily choice between survival and disgrace. In this video, we'll walk through 24 hours that would break most modern people before breakfast. Here's what most people don't realize about the warrior class that shaped an entire civilization. The 4 a.m. wake-up call. Your day begins before dawn, not because a single Bushido dictated it, but because your domain's house laws and your martial school's traditions demanded it. While most of Japan still sleeps, you're already moving through kata forms honed for generations. The wooden floor bites cold against your bare feet, every exhale turning to mist. Samurai training was never just exercise. Each stance, each breath, each pause conditioned you for split-second decisions between life and death. This wasn't fitness, it was survival programming. From the shadows, your sensei watches every detail. A stance 2 inches too wide, a sword grip slightly off. Those flaws? They're the difference between deflecting a strike or being cut down. In this world, there was no good enough. There was perfect, or there was dead. And the physical pain is only the start. Your mind churns. Which rivals are scheming? What alliances need reinforcing? And whether today might bring a challenge to your honor. The politics of survival. By sunrise, your thoughts aren't on breakfast, but on betrayal. In Tokugawa, Japan, long peace meant open battle was rare. Survival came through politics, where today's ally could become tomorrow's accuser with a single rumor. Bushido demanded loyalty. But to whom? Your rudo? Your family? Your own honor? These loyalties often clashed, and choosing wrong could cost you everything. In the Edo peace, far more samurai fell to official punishments, assassinations, or enforced seppuku than to battlefield deaths. Each morning, you replayed conversations, scanning them for signs of treachery. Even the tea ceremony wasn't just culture. It was political theater. Seating. Who spoke first? Who avoided eye contact? Every gesture revealed alliances. In 1600, Hosokawa Gurashia, a Christian convert and wife of a daimyo, faced capture when Ishida Mitsunari's faction sought hostages. Rather than risk her family's honor, she ordered a retainer to end her life. Her death complicated Ishida's plans and electrified public opinion. Every bow, every silence, every ritual carried meaning. Misread one, and you could trigger a blood feud lasting generations. The weight of the katana. Strapping on your katana meant more than carrying steel. It meant shouldering your lineage. But the sword was a paradox. Weapon and symbol, privilege and peril. Samurai technically had the right of kirasute gomen, to cut down someone who gravely insulted them. But in practice, violence was tightly regulated. Under the law of kenka ryuseibai, both sides in a fight could face punishment, sometimes even death. The katana was less license than responsibility. And no, swords weren't slicing plate armor. Japanese lamellar and plated armor was designed to resist slashes. Real swordsmanship sought openings. The armpit, neck, or joints. Still, the blade itself was extraordinary. Forged over months, it balanced sharpness with resilience. Learning to wield it took decades. You needed precision enough to kill cleanly, but restraint when honor demanded mercy. Excessive brutality could bring legal consequences. Too little force could mean your own death. Miyamoto Musashi didn't spend 3 years on a single cut, but he did develop the Nitten Ichiryu school and wrote Gorinoshio. There he stressed timing and distancing, not flash, as the heart of victory. Every time you touched the hilt, you bore the weight of your ancestors' honor and your children's futures. The art of honorable death. Samurai didn't just practice fighting, they practiced dying. This wasn't morbid fixation. It was preparation for a culture where seppuku could be both a personal choice and an official punishment. The ritual required precision, the blade's placement, the composure to recite final words, and the courage to endure. Your kaishiakunin, a trusted second, would strike at just the right moment, decapitating you to end suffering while preserving dignity. Seppuku was brutal, but it offered control. Better to choose your time, place, and witnesses than be tortured or humiliated by enemies. In death, you could shape the story history remembered. In the late 12th century, Minamoto no Yorimasa lost in battle. Before cutting his belly, he composed a death poem. Like a fossil tree from which we gather no flowers, sad has been my life, fated no fruit to produce. His act became legend, inspiring loyalty beyond his lifetime. The impossible standards of Bushido. Bushido wasn't a fixed checklist. The tidy list of 7 virtues comes from Meiji-era reinterpretations like Nitobe Inazu's Bushido, The Soul of Japan, 1900. In earlier times, values varied. Yamagasuku emphasized service, Daiduzi Yuzan stressed responsibility, and the Hagakure declared that the way of the samurai is found in death. These ideals often contradicted each other. You couldn't be perfectly loyal to your lord while merciful to his enemies. You couldn't balance honesty with protecting your family. The contradictions weren't flaws, they were deliberate. By facing impossible standards daily, samurai learned to act without hesitation. This mindset created warriors unafraid of failure, since they knew perfection was unattainable. That acceptance made them decisive in moments where hesitation meant death. If you want a real Takeda Shingen moment, forget the modern misquote about adapting to change. His banner bore Hurin Kazan, swift as wind, silent as forest, fierce as fire, immovable as mountain, taken from Sunzi's Art of War. That philosophy shaped armies, not slogans. Family honor versus personal survival. Your life meant little compared to your family's reputation, yet that reputation depended on your every action. One mistake could bring kaiki, the abolition of your house, confiscation of lands, and your descendants reduced to ronin. Some samurai chose death to shield their families. Others swallowed dishonor to protect their children. Both paths carried shame. Consider Akechi Mitsuhide, who betrayed Oda Nobunaga in 1582. His motives remain debated. Personal grievance, fear of Nobunaga's cruelty, or hope for stability. Whatever the truth, his act doomed his family line. The stain of treachery lingered for generations. Every choice balanced survival against family honor, an impossible tightrope that could collapse at any moment. The economics of honor. Samurai weren't automatically wealthy. Most lived on rice stipends fixed by their daimyo, payments that often failed to keep up with costs. Debt was stigmatized, but poverty was equally shameful. Some turned merchant in secret, breaking social taboos to feed their families. Others slid into banditry or hired themselves out to rival lords. A few, facing ruin, chose seppuku rather than live in disgrace. By the late 19th century, cracks widened. In 1876, the government commuted stipends into bonds, the Chitsuroku Shiobun. That same year, the Haiture Edict banned sword-wearing in public, stripping away a visible privilege. Many samurai burned through their bonds quickly. Some adapted, becoming bureaucrats, teachers, or entrepreneurs. Others resisted, most famously in the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, when Saigu Takamori led disaffected warriors against the government. They were crushed, but their stand became the final chapter of samurai resistance. Economics, as much as honor, determined the class's fate. The loneliness of command. Close friendships were risky. Deep attachments could cloud judgment when loyalty to lord demanded ruthlessness. Safer to keep allies, rivals, and subordinates, never equals. This emotional distance carried a heavy cost. Every interaction was calculated, every conversation a performance. Showing weakness risked humiliation. Samurai poetry reveals the loneliness behind stoic masks. Cherry blossoms, falling quickly, became symbols of fleeting beauty. Death itself became a recurring theme, an escape from unbearable pressure. In the Hagakure, Yamamoto Tsunetomo wrote, "The way of the samurai is found in death," not glorifying violence, but acknowledging that only in death could a warrior be free from impossible expectations. The moment of truth. After 24 hours of impossible standards, political tension, and crushing expectations, it's clear why most modern people wouldn't last a day as a samurai. The true burden wasn't training, combat, or even death. It was the awareness that every decision echoed through ancestors, descendants, and society itself. Privacy was limited. Personal choices were scrutinized by peers, superiors, and family alike. Every action had implications beyond the self. This forged warriors capable of breathtaking loyalty and sacrifice, but it also drove many to despair, pushing them into repression or ritual suicide. Samurai weren't superhuman. They were ordinary men, bound by extraordinary standards that shaped Japanese politics, culture, and identity for centuries. The shadow of ronin. To lose your master was to lose yourself. A samurai without a lord became a ronin, a man adrift, stripped of income, duty, and identity. The title carried shame. In the eyes of society, you were dangerous, unpredictable, a blade without a sheath. Some ronin hired themselves out as mercenaries or bodyguards, selling their swords to whoever could pay. Others slipped into crime, their skills fueling raids that terrified towns and travelers. Many tried to live quietly as farmers or monks, but the stigma followed them. Marriage prospects withered. Merchants grew wary of lending credit. A ronin lived in the cracks of a system built on loyalty, and every day was a reminder that he no longer belonged. And yet, from this shadow came legend. In 1702, 47 ronin avenged their lord, Asano Naganori, after nearly 2 years of quiet planning. On a snowy night, they stormed Kira Yoshinaka's mansion, cut him down, and then calmly surrendered. Ordered to commit seppuku, they chose death with the same discipline they had shown in life. Their story became Japan's most famous tale of loyalty and the ultimate paradox of ronin existence. Cast out as masterless men, they won eternal honor not by living, but by how they chose to die. The next time you hear samurai culture romanticized, remember the reality. Behind the legends were human beings crushed by impossible choices, suffocating expectations, and the constant threat of honorable death. The Bushido ethos produced discipline and courage, but it also created a society where personal happiness was sacrificed for stability. By recognizing the cost, we better appreciate both the brilliance of Japan's warrior culture and the human toll behind it. These were not fantasy heroes, but real people who chose duty over comfort, honor over survival, and legacy over personal fulfillment. If this journey into samurai reality opened your eyes, hit like, drop a comment about what surprised you most, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind the myths. Remember, history is always more complex and more human than we imagine.